Yo, what is up, people? It's Card Games United here, or as you might know us from regionals, Eric has the password, which he no longer does, by the way, so that's good.
I mean, he technically still does. It's not.
Yeah, he never really gave it to us.
He did, though.
He put it on our computers, but that was it.
No, he literally handed it to me with the fucking thing written out. Okay, anyway.
So can you give me the password?
Anyway, that aside, we're here to do a set review. We missed Light of Salvation, Logic of Destruction, because personal shit.
Set was mediocre. Only one card worth it. The Great. Next.
I don't know. They had a few decent, like, double R's and stuff. Anyway, Brent is fun. Anyway, so we missed...
It's fun to see Ryan kill himself off it.
Yeah, that is pretty fun.
You do not respond well to Brent. I've been keeping track of your total record of it. You're 1-6 against Brent right now.
Brent is hilarious because I auto-beat it and Ryan gets auto-beat by just because of our trigger lock.
I might actually play Brent tomorrow.
Which is just fucking glorious.
You
Anyway.
better win tomorrow.
Do you want me to actually try?
So,
I want the fucking map.
So you want me to actually try?
Yes.
I'm going to have to edit all of that out. Anyway. So, I guess those are our thoughts on Light Logic. So we're skipping straight to Heroic Evolution. And before we get into the normal set review, I guess we should talk about the second string of gifts.
Yeah, so, yo, guys, people are praising the second gift types. Honestly, I'd say they depend on the matchup, and they depend on what deck you're playing.
They are very matchup dependent, but...
It's like having a mini G-Zone, except no units.
Well, at the very least, it gives you options now, right? Because you don't just always have to be like, well, I'm with my Protect plan and up against something that has a Glory effect. Yes, I just don't fucking get gifts this game. No.
I mean, or you could go Great Nature with XL2 and just...
deck yourself out.
No, you're not going to deck
You will
it.
absolutely...
You will break even on the Hamskate turn.
Time out.
Actually,
No,
you'll plus
actually,
2.
you'll plus 2, yeah.
You'll plus 2
But
on the Hamskate turn.
Just PSA, do not, under any circumstances, pick XL2 in Great Nature. I know it looks appealing. You will deck out.
Oh, no. That shit... That shit looks like...
You already deck out in like half your games with Great Nature. Adding extra draws on top of it is just like, no, I feel like losing.
No. That shit looks real sexy. I mean, like...
No.
I feel like this should be its own video.
Because now even, like, you're talking about bumping your Geograph Giants down from 27 to 22. And that's a 10K.
Wait, how are you bumping Geograph Giant from 27 to 22?
Because
there's only 4 in the deck.
XL2 only gives you 5K. So now instead of swinging for 27, the Geograph Giant is swinging for 22, which means the Force Clan can go ahead and drop a grade 1, and the Protect and Excel clans can go ahead and drop a crit trigger.
But you're still running front triggers.
You've removed a massive amount of threat from your deck, and you have added to your major lose con. Do not play XL2 with Great Nature.
Don't play XL2 with Aqua Force, even if it looks appealing with Glory Maelstrom.
I mean, what about Gold Paladin, people? XL2 with Gold Paladin, I double Ezo and draw 2 cards.
Yeah, that kind of makes me sick. Anyway.
Actually, yo, I'm gonna get off the perfect scenario, I swear, just once, people.
I'm actually surprised Andre's not spiking the football, because this means that Bowman's back at 4.
I'm going to... Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get off the perfect scenario where I get to ride 3 Ezos in one turn.
No, you're not.
And then I'm going to draw 3 cards.
Shut the fuck
No,
up.
seriously, I could do it.
I know it's possible, it's just not going to happen.
It's going to happen. I'm going to stack my deck. I am going to cheat. I am going to cheat to do this.
Disqualified. Okay.
I don't care. I want it once. I just want it once, people. Is that so hard to
I
ask?
feel like this should be its own video where we analyze every clan.
No, because you can't analyze every clan because it's so matchup dependent. Like, you're never, ever going to go into, like, say, Force 2 against anything Protect.
I think what Andre's saying is we should do a separate video based on the gifts. Because we're just talking about the gifts right now.
Well,
we're not...
Here's the thing. We can wrap this up in another, like, 2 sentences, because Force 2, kind of garbage.
What? No, Force 2 is not garbage.
Force 2 is pretty garbage.
No! Calamity Tower, Wyvern, Kagura, the end. I'm going to swing at you
I'm gonna
times.
go -1 in order to give myself a little bit more threat if my opponent has absolutely no clue how to play around things.
So
Versus Force 1, I'm going to make myself a major threat in every stage of the game. Force 1 was the best gift for a reason, and that reason was 13k. But, that aside, the Force 1 does a good job. Force 2 sucks. Excel 2, really good for stuff like...
well, hold on. What
Narcotic
about if you're playing Shadow
Hold on.
Paladins?
Oh, fuck no.
Oh, fuck yeah.
I'm already gaining crits. What the fuck do I want with more?
You want
Shadows
more
need
crits.
Force 1. This is
Shadows
like me saying I should
love
play
Force
Force
1.
2 in D-Police.
Yeah,
Bad
dude.
Ryan.
More
Bad.
crits. More
Stop.
crits.
Stop getting dazzled by crits.
Fuck your opponent with more crits.
Okay.
Or
long
just
story.
hand your opponent the game in a silver fucking package with a little bow on it because you decided not to be threatening.
Long
You
Wait,
story
decided,
more
I
crits
want to
is-
swing with 2 crits instead of actually swinging at numbers that can hit.
Long story short, the only clans that will like Force 2 are like Spikes and Bermudas because they already hit.
And
their
Neonectars.
I
And
actually-
I'm not even Neo
No,
Nectar.
I don't even think either of those clans like it because you're not making the situation any better. Maybe Spike Brothers, but for Bermuda, you're just adding to your lose con, which is playing around that late game. So it's a matter of once you choose that Force 2, you haven't actually made anything better for yourself. You've just incentivized your opponent to play more correctly.
I mean, Bermudas really only ride once or twice a game. So Force 2 might
Yeah,
be
but
better.
if you have that Force 1 on board, that means that I can just drop any card there and still swing. Versus if you have that Force 2 there, once you start getting controlled out, once you start...
Oh, dude,
Once
you
you
can't,
start-
you can't
once your
out-control
opponent starts-
Bermudas.
Absolutely! you can.
No! Have
No,
you
no, no.
seen? Have you seen the Shadow Paladin players I double crit at regionals?
Okay, number 1,
Oh, so
double
you
crit.
sacked them.
Yes.
Number two, Shadow Paladins aren't really a control clan.
Yeah, they are.
Not
Didn't you get bored by Novell and almost lose that?
I
game?
almost
Like,
lost, but I fucking turned it around.
The only card in modern Shadow Paladins that has any sort of aspect of control is Peanut Butter Dragon.
For you noobs at home, that's fine.
No! I'm editing that out. It's Peanut Butter Dragon now. It will be Peanut Butter Dragon forever. Anyway, so Force 2 sucks. Excel 2, good if you're not going to deck yourself out. It's a real godsend for like Nova Grappler, Narcomic, that
Protect 2
kind of stuff.
sucks.
Protect 2 is actually really good.
Boo!
No, actually, it could be good for
like,
Mega
you're
Colony.
you're not actually stopping and thinking about it because that actually gives you some options to do something.
It's
with
like
your
a
gift.
worse Force gift,
It's a slightly worse Force gift.
but it's a slightly better Protect gift.
Depends
No,
on the
it
matchup.
kind of
Well,
no,
it's
it
because
kind of combines the Protect
Protect 1
and Force.
Protect 1 was the worst gift. Because
What?
there's so many scenarios in which it just sits in your hand. It's just like, oh, I guess I can use this. And then
Oh shoot!
doesn't actually provide towards winning the game in any way, shape,
It's
or
been
form.
there for a long time.
Oh okay.
Versus Protect 2 is actually going to be like, okay, I can start buffing up my columns and make them into threats. So, and especially with things like OTG, that's just going to draw enough to produce the PGs anyway, and especially against, there are now so many things out there that don't care if you have a PG. Like, oh good, I'm going to stack my hand full of PGs when the Overlord is swinging at me 3 times and spinning Valiant is making me drop 3 cards whenever I want to card. And
That's
fucking
gonna
Glory.
be funny.
Glory, what about
and fucking Glory is out there like, oh, you can only guard with 1 card. Actually,
It might be good
Protect's
against
kind of
Glory.
work in that case, yeah. So, if you're up against Glory, pick Protect 1. Anyway.
Glory's a fair and balanced card.
Fuck you. Fuck Aquaforce. Fuck your whole deal. Now, since we're already fucking 9 minutes into this set review, I think it's time to start talking about the set.
Considering we've been talking about the gifts.
I mean, it is important because this set is the one that ushered in the...
The dawn of the new era! Sorry, I had to say it like that.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I
Anyway.
did.
VR1, Dragonic Overlord, the end. At the end of the battle it attacks, you can activate one of the below effects, but you can't activate the same effect on the same turn. If you have 4 less cards in hand, Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1, stand this unit, and it gets Drive -1. If you have an Overlord in your soul, discard 3 cards, stand this unit, it gets Power +10, Drive -1.
Wait, what was the Power plus 10 one?
That's for the second.
That's if you
effect.
have an Overlord in the soul.
You discard 3?
It's got the 3. It's okay. I don't see a lot of Japanese list maxes out.
I mean, I do like that right after this thing came out, I saw people just straight up running this with the Great. Just because, like, hey, fuck original Overlord.
So here's what I'm thinking with this. I'm thinking with the combination of this and Force 2.
No, you
Yes.
cannot
Oh,
run
Jesus
Force 2 with
Christ.
this.
Oh,
Force
look at my
2
13k Overlord swing. Let me guard that with
you
a
can't.
trigger.
You can't think about it like that. It's-
Yes, you absolutely have to, because the 3 restamps with the plus 10k doesn't come online until turn 5. And then, at that point, you're talking about having put out no pressure for the entire game.
Because I can guard your Vanguard
Like-
with a single trigger.
well,
Because
yeah,
I
but
can
there
guard
are
your
cards-
Vanguard with a single trigger.
There are cards that
Or
are
10k and an intercept.
hold on, guys. There are cards that are going to buff Overlord.
Those
Not
cards are
efficiently.
bad because they're -1s. Calamity Tire Wyvern's a -1.
So
That's actually it. That's
A
actually it.
-1 for power is you're not helping your situation at all.
okay.
Because in that case, that's the turn.
So
they
what?
top
A
it.
-1 for crit?
That's bad. That's fucking like
That's
blast-
Dragonic Gaius.
Yeah, that's Dragonic Gaius only saw play because of Waterfall. That was the whole deal. Like, no one is using Dragonic Gaius anymore because he's not good.
I think I still am. That's because the Kagura doesn't have any other good grade 1 options.
There's a
tons
ton.
of good grade 1 options. What are you talking
Like
about?
who? Bar?
We'll get to this later. Anyway. So,
Demonic Dragon Mage, Kimnara. It's
I haven't
pretty
tested
good.
that out yet.
I mean,
that's
it's
that out. That's pretty good.
it's kind of iffy
As a
sometimes. No, as a 2 of. It's better as a 2 of. It's iffy sometimes, like, and other
I
times
mean, it really depends on how much possession your opponent's working up and, like, if they're playing Excel, because if they're playing Excel, you're just like, woohoo, I'm going to have a fun time today.
and if their
Unless
entire
they're
board.
playing Nova Grappler. Or, well, I guess still Nova Grappler. Does Nova Grappler have any possession? I don't know. Anyway,
Not good for Kamara,
Narukami, that's the other one that doesn't have any possession as an Excel plan. Anyway,
Anyways,
so, this card is good. Like, it's not mind-blowingly good, but it's good.
I'm gonna give it a 3.5.
It's got some interesting
Wait,
applications.
3.5 out of what? 5 or 10?
Yeah.
Up 5. Yeah.
Out of 5?
This card,
The VRs we rate out of 5. The set we rate out of 100.
yeah, this card isn't played as a 4 in most Japanese lists because the Great, I think they've probably figured out it's better later in the game. But like, I don't know. That
Honestly,
starts as a 2.
I might just play Dragonic Overlord as a 4 of, and then the end as a 3 of.
It's bad.
You mean the grade as a 4 of?
No, I mean the original.
Why would you cut the Great
no.
out?
Why?
Take.
To cut out Neoflame.
This card is a minus.
I don't
I mean,
want Neoflame being in my
you
deck.
you would rather cut out Neoflame and leave the grade in than run OG Overlord. Like, OG Overlord is not good. Now you no longer have a reason to run him because this is straight up a better first ride than OG Overlord.
Well, lot of
That's a
time-
better first ride.
Yes. Because you just have to call out your hand and then you can counterblast 1, soul blast 1, restand for no discard.
Yeah, but then that will leave you with at most 6 cards in hand.
So,
No,
5.
5. Yeah. 5. My bad.
Yes, but it will leave you with a field and an aggressive presence. Like, this is Kagura. You're not trying to be like, okay, I have a 10-card hand. You're trying to be like, okay, I'm a threaten to kill you.
I never really understood that concept, but oh well. And I play Kagura, so
Like, it's not a deck that has a lot of defensive utility, so you don't want to try and play out the stall game. Except when it was, like, in original series, like Season 3 and stuff, where you actually had control. But V-Series doesn't have a lot of control, unfortunately.
no, there's a lot of control.
Not really. There's some, but there's not a lot. So, like, if you want to play straight-up control, okay, fine. But in that case, your boss is Waterfall. There's no reason you'd want to run
Or
any of the
Blademaster.
Or Blademaster. Blademaster could work in control.
I've actually seen decks just straight up run Blademaster and the Great too. There's one list that did
That
that.
does sound interesting. Anyway,
Might try that.
so Dragonic Overlord, I still think he warrants a 4 out of 5 because he is good. Like, I don't think he's gonna like propel you to like tier 0 or anything like that. But
I mean, I just like him for his ability to multi-attack.
that's good. What do you give him?
I'm gonna give him a 3.5.
You already gave him something. I'm asking Ryan.
Oh, well, I
Probably
don't
if-
like discard 3 for the second ability because the great.
The second ability is kind of meh.
Just imagine getting rid of your entire drive check.
Yeah, that's bad.
Yeah, I know.
The great's only discard 2 for the same amount of attacks. If you use the end on its full potential.
Yeah, but
I mean-
if you use the great and you want the full value, you have to put in the Neo Flame, which I'm not willing to
That's
do
not
that.
entirely true. You still get a restand off of him even without Neoflame. Like,
Yeah, I know, but
Neoflame is just in as essentially a token, and his interaction with Neoflame is legitimately overpowered. Because trust me, I made this argument before he was coming out. Like, Neoflame is a bad card. But the interaction that the Great has with him is so powerful that
oh, trust me, I no longer have to put Force Gift.
minor technical difficulties. Gonna re-record like 2 seconds of footage just because it cut off a little bit in the middle of our discussion of the Great. Long story short,
The end, not the great.
I'm sorry. Well, we were kind of also discussing the Great. So, long story short, end good, not like tier 1 good or anything like that.
Not as good as the great, but still good.
Wait, hold on. Which one's better? All right, spoiler alert, people. I know we haven't gotten this far into the set review, but which one is better? The End or Blademaster?
The end.
The End?
The end.
A lot of people are arguing Blademaster.
Blademaster requires a very
Blademaster-
specific setup on place.
Blademaster is his own thing, and we'll talk about Blademaster when we get to Blademaster. Anyway,
Blademaster's a budget option.
Andre gave him a 3.5.
I'm gonna give him a 4.
Me and Ryan both gave him a 4. It's a good card. It's not like meta-breakingly good or anything like that. It's good. Be satisfied with that.
Fair and balanced.
Fair and balanced. Speaking of fair and balanced, Spinning Valiant. So, this card is interesting. Continuous, all your units can only attack the vanguard. Auto,
Actually, I think the wording on that's all units.
oh yes, all
So you
units.
can't attack your opponent's rear guards with it.
Yes, and that's actually a major issue for it, which we'll address in a second. Auto, when it attacks, if your front row has 4 or more until the end of turn, this unit gets 10k power. Then you can counterblast 4, and if your opponent would call guardians, he or she must call 3 or more at the same time. So, this card is obviously very meme-worthy right out the gate.
It's not a very competitive card. It's fine for like a fun deck.
I mean, no, you can, in theory, tear apart an opponent's hand.
Well, in theory, because counterblast
The
4.
problem is this is Counterblast 4, and cards like Kick Typhoon are already taking up Counterblasts already, so...
Yeah, but is there a countercharger?
Novas have plenty of counterchargers, but not like...
Well, the issue once you get to Counterblast 4 is it's not even about can I afford to pay the cost anymore, it's about how can I arrange it so that I can pay the cost without being dead.
So, like, Novas in Set 7 are arguably like the second or third best deck in the format according to Japanese tops, and most of us generally don't run this card. They just run Azure Dragon and Luminal. So, like,
Because
this video-
Luminal's actually really fucking good
Yeah.
just as a card.
this card isn't necessary for Nova builds. I don't particularly like it just because Counterblast 4. Like, the 10k is nice.
Well, here's the thing. I view this card more as being about that first effect, which is, okay, now your opponent's going to have a much more difficult time if they're not playing a dedicated control deck, because you can't pick off the rear guards, which is Nova Grappler's biggest weakness.
but you can't do that either, which is obnoxious.
a problem, especially when you get to his Counterblast 4 effect, because if I can't make sure the rear guards are clear, then if they have a damage buffer, if they damage trigger, then they can start intercepting to deal with my attacks, and the effect is mitigated to such a huge degree.
Yeah, there are a few hero cards that actually prevent intercepting. I think it's Miss Splendor.
Well,
Like,
at that point, you have to play this card. You have to play the new Breakthrough because she's really good and she keeps you alive, and also Miss Splendor, who doesn't have a gift.
Like, this card is meant for a dedicated hero deck, and overall I just don't think the hero deck is as good as Beast Deity, so, like, if I had to give this card a score, I would give it, like, 2.5. Like, it's a boss, it's meme-worthy, but, like, is it competitive? Hell no.
It's very meme-worthy.
Like, if you
It
want...
definitely gets the meme-worthy stamp of approval.
Like, Nova Grapplers get a lot of good cards from this set that propel them arguably into Tier 1, but this card isn't one of them. Just play Beast Deities if you want to play competitive Nova Grappler.
But this did actually make the hero deck viable again, which is good.
It's meme worthy.
I mean, it's not even for the. Obviously, the deck is meme worthy in and of itself, but like, it's actually viable.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can play heroes and not be like, oh, I did this because it was $5. So, I'm gonna do the same thing I did for fucking
Gun Salute Dragon.
where it's a funny card. It looks like it'll be fun to play. It has its own deck that's separate from all the other decks, so it gets a 2.5.
Yeah, I was thinking just like a 2 or something.
Well, Spinning Valiant, you tried your best. I think that's the first failing grade we've given in a VR in a while.
In other words, Nova players rejoice. Your wallets don't have to be hurt paying for a VR if you want to be good next set.
This is true.
They're only getting one VR, right?
Yeah, you don't even need to play it in like their most competitive deck. But
Uh,
the problem is Azure Dragon's $40, so good luck with that.
Speaking of hurting people's wallets with expensive VRs, Harmonix Messiah.
Oh boy!
I am on the fence about building this, but I probably can't
So-
afford the great in this at the same time, so we'll see.
I'll
The
just
end.
get the
Ah,
end.
you did it too.
I'll just get the end.
I know
So-
my friend Kyle's really looking forward to this card.
I think I'm actually also
You
looking
know,
forward to this card.
I
It looks like a lot
remember.
of fun.
I gotta say this.
But hang on,
Hold on.
I gotta read off the effects before we get too much further into the conversation. Auto, when it attacks, search your deck for up to one card, put it on RC as locked, then shuffle your deck. Auto, once per turn, at the end of battle and attack, if your soul has a grade 3 or greater card, counterblast 1 and discard a card from hand. Choose any number of any fighter's locked cards, unlock them, draw the same number of cards, and 2 rear guards in your front row get 15k. So, off the bat, this is obviously just like a huge advantage engine.
So I have to say this. All right.
Mhm.
First off, okay. I know I'm gonna sound super crazy when I say this.
I mean, you suggested Force 2 in DP, so go on.
And Kagura.
Well, I would also suggest Force 2 in something like this too. But
It at least makes a little more sense here because you're talking more about grinding the opponent out in this deck, and in that situation, the Force 2 is a little more useful because you can talk about making your attacks need to guard instead of just want to guard.
speaking of grinding your opponent out with this card,
That isn't to say I think you should go for Force 2 every time. I don't
No.
think there's ever going to be
Yeah.
a situation in which any deck says, I am going to go for Force 2 every time.
So here's what I'm thinking. With this, a grade 3 has to be in your soul. So what I'm thinking is, and hear me out, guys, put a deleter in the deck. The grade 3 deleter.
They don't even need a deleter. They have a card in this.
Yeah,
set
they
that's
got
like-
they got another card that really stacks up the advantage alongside this.
Yeah,
There's
they
no
have a
reason
card
we
like
wouldn't play
reveal the
that
top card of your deck, like
Do
draw
they-
it or something if it's grade 3 restange of Vanguard.
Do they have a grade
Oh, no,
3
that's
that
totally
works as a perfect first ride?
Yes.
They do?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't know. I was thinking deleter just so that way you could be like,
Like,
haha, I'm swinging at you.
I mean, at that
If
point,
anything,
why-
I'd rather just play Brant, the grade 3 Brant.
I mean,
So,
I do think it would be kind of fun to play like Grayon and Harmonix and just go super anime with it. Like, look at the evolution of everything. But no,
okay.
that's
So,
not a serious.
What
match.
else? What else I wanted to say was, I remember back when Harmonix Messiah used to be a part of all clans and all nations, and used to be a G-Zone card.
I remember when he was a staple 4 of. Because only 4 strides existed, and he was one of them.
Actually, I still have a playset of that,
I think I do too.
still in its packaging. I've got you beat there.
I played Harmonix in my DP deck the day I could use strides.
Oh my god.
Because Commander Laurel with that was hilarious. People were just like, wait, you get how many drop checks? Guard, 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 guard!
Oh my god.
Oh, them's was the days. Yeah, so this card, obviously, massive advantage engine, gives you power.
The best Link Joker build we have today.
quite possibly the best Link Joker deck we have today because Deleters are a joke, Brant is a meme, Cyber Dragons are unfinished. That's about where we stand with Link
Lee,
Joker.
if you can go tomorrow, I dare you to play Cyber Dragons.
I mean, if I can, I will. Because I love that deck. It is super fucking fun. But we'll get back to Cyber Dragons in a minute because they got support in this set.
What happened to supporting me and getting the mat?
I don't fucking care. Anyway.
You said you were going to help me get it.
I said if I win it, you can have it. Anyway. So, this card, I cannot give it anything less than a 4 out of 5. I'm thinking maybe even like 4.5. Why do you keep... Okay, so audience, Andre just tried on Ryan's glasses for the 50,000th time, despite the fact that we both know that Ryan is comedic levels of blind.
Well, no, it's funny because whenever... look, audience, backstory. Whenever Andre sees me, he always, like, puts his
This
fingers...
video is 25 minutes long already!
He puts his fingers in front of his eyes and starts looking around with it.
No.
So what I do is I give him my glasses.
Stop it. Come on. Alright, grade for Harmonix.
4.5, advantage
4.5.
engine, multi-attack, and a force clan. Draws cards. Really fucking good. Just
Right.
maybe a bit slow, that's why it's not a perfect 5.
I'd like to say 4 out of 5.
4 out of 5, okay. First triple R of note, Dragonic Blademaster. Very interesting card. I like that it kept its 5k and crit thing. I also like that now in premium you can just call one to rearguard, play 16 stands, and just maximum cheese.
It's not as bad as the whole fuckery that happened with the whole can you stride on top of a blaster blade in premium with Gancelot, you know?
I mean, you can, which... I mean, that's actually... Like it doesn't give you, like, a lot of advantages, just because you can't stride twice in a turn.
Too bad you can't restand it with Flowable. That's a different story.
If you could restand with Flowable, like, there's so much about that effect that breaks the game, and such, like, why did Bushiroad try to make this... we'll get to that when we get to that set.
Yo, Blademaster, solid budget option.
Solid budget option,
You
looks
can
like
run
a
it
lot
with
of
Waterfall.
fun. Doha and Garin are both pretty good, so you're not too broken up about having to play them.
I've even seen like a lot of builds just play like this in the Great.
That
Builds
makes sense.
exist. You can play this with the End.
Illuminal Dragon. So Bestialities are good again.
Other grapplers are tier 1 from tier 5. Who would have thought?
Tier 5 doesn't exist. Anyway.
Get, added effects when your opponent doesn't let your shit hit. Oh, no, wait.
There we go. Kick Typhoon.
4 out of 5. Best card in the set for Novas.
All it does is get 5k power.
Yeah, that's really fucking good. Meantime, if you get a defensive trigger, this can still hit on something.
Are you really extolling the virtues of 5k power? Has it gotten that desperate for Nova Grappler?
Yes!
Like, I was making a joke, because clearly what it's about is restanding things, but goddamn. Okay. Lady Battle of the Gravity Well? Lady Battler of the Gravity Well, rather?
Other multi-attack enabler. Solid card, Messiahs.
Another advantage engine. No, not even an advantage engine. I mean, if you do try to use it for multi-attack, that could get awkward. But yeah, it does let you cycle and do other stuff, so it's not bad. Duskblade. You know how I feel about control cards. Always love them. And he gets you a draw. I like it. I really like Duskblade.
I think there's a card in Kagura that's like a double R. It's like whenever your opponent calls a guardian, you can Soul Blast it and kill it.
Yep. They're gonna get that in the heroic evolution.
I think that's double. I think that's
No,
double.
it's double R. I'm looking at it right now. Wyvern Strike Dickhead.
So
Counterblast 1. put
Wait,
this-
what? Did you say Wyvern Strike Dickhead?
Wyvern Strike Decat.
Oh, I thought you said.
so wait, I actually
Act, rearguard, counterblast 1, put this into soul, choose one of your Dragonic Overlord the end, and when your opponent would call from hand to Guardian for the battles that unit attack this turn, he or she must call 2 or more at the same time.
no, there's one that you retire as an auto.
I'll check, but I don't think there is.
There is.
There is.
I don't think
I
there
think
is.
it's one of the Blademaster cards, actually.
No, it's not a Blademaster card.
It kind of has to be if it exists. Nope. Brodacci just searches for a Blademaster. Red Dove Giffen. Nope. Yep. Yeah. So auto rearguard when your opponent's guardian is placed for a battle. This boosted a vanguard, so unplayable. Soul Blast 1, choose one of the guardians, retire it, so unplayable. At the end of battle, retire this unit, so unplayable. What's
How
your
is
point
it
about this card?
How is it unplayable?
It's got 3 restrictions that make it not work.
What are the restrictions?
Has to boost a vanguard.
Okay, not hard.
Has to.
That's
You have to have the specific field set up. The second you get, and that requires waiting until you see this card.
It's not hard to boost a Vanguard.
It requires not boosting your vanguard until you see this card, which is an auto lose ticket.
No, you don't.
Even without the consideration of that restriction, first off, it just retires the guardian.
That means they still get their PG effects.
That means they still get their PG effects, which is a huge issue because this is Kagura. So that's the main strategy for fighting against you. And then third, it costs itself a retire. So, Gladrat, interesting backup boss. The Beast Deity support, because that deck needed to be better.
Especially the grade 1 restander that's double R during the main phase.
Mhm.
Means I can get rid of Shout.
Obstruction Claw Ghastly Nail. Very good card. Makes Messiahs an actual deck. Last one for the Thundering Foot. Thank God they gave us at least some consideration of Locke's original control mechanic.
What does he do?
Okay, I'll read them off. Blast 1 for the Thundering Foot. Auto Vanguard Rearguard. When it attacks Vanguard, counter blast 1. Choose one of your opponent's rearguards and bind it face down. If you have a grade 2, if you chose grade 2 or greater, soul charge 1. So,
That's it.
counter blast 1 for a bind. Can also get you some soul charge. Really awesome in the Cyber Dragon deck.
Oh,
Yeah.
so that means you're going to invest in this card, aren't you?
Absolutely.
Because why do you like that deck so much?
It's fun.
Oh, why? Because you can control your opponent?
Because I can control my opponent. Exactly. That's fun. Destiny Dealer, really good card. Exile Dragon.
Or when you can discard it for stride?
I mean, it's better now.
And you can also look at the top cards of your deck before you put them in the lock circle.
Like, 3+ing. Yay.
No, that's what I've told people, and they're just like, "Oh, it's bad."
It's not, though. It's
What if you get a trigger?
leave it on top of your deck.
You can do that.
Oh. No, I guess you can't. But still, it's a free plus. Who the fuck cares? And you're only going to get a trigger 1 in 3 times.
It's like how people, when they reveal 2 triggers off, like, Opener of the Dark Gates, and they still, they're like, oh, I'm
They're
just
like,
gonna put
this
them on the
makes
box."
this a bad card. Go to hell. Anyway. Lava Blast Dragon, hilarious. Exile Dragon, not as cool as it was originally, but more playable. They have the new Grade 1 Perfect Arts, and
No, they're
and
bad.
you can play 12 crit now.
Those grade 1 perfect guards are not, like, depends on the deck. Granville, I actually think people are talking about playing them. So
Like-
you can run like 12 crit.
Well,
They're
no,
definitely not bad. Like, their primary point is to exist so that if your deck can play 12 crit, you have that option instead of being locked into having to play
Hey,
this
actually,
draw trigger because it's
Bermuda-
your perfect card.
Bermuda Triangle might actually be able to get away with playing it.
Potentially.
I mean, they cycle if you grade 1 ride them.
I mean, you could get rid of that card that just makes you draw a card and then discard.
Yeah, true.
So, like, it's good act, but you don't have extra critical triggers, so.
No, that's
Or
sucks.
this perfect card.
You will next year.
Yeah, I will next year.
And we'll see what the situation is like then. We got a
Oh,
couple.
you know what?
We got
I
a
got
couple more Cyber Dragon support cards, and like Bushi always does, they fucking change how the deck works before it's even complete.
Really?
Yes, the new Cyber Dragons all have like effect. There's a grade 3, a grade 2, and a grade 1, and the grade 2 and the grade 1 have effects when they're retired, and the grade 3 retires your rear guards for 5k and a crit. Which, by the way, fuck you, Bushi. Yeah, like they're decent. They allow you to play that that other grade 1 Cyber Dragon if you want. But it's just like, ew, why? Yeah, the Binodial may actually do okay supporting the deck just because you cycle in for a Soul Blast and then you can pay the Counter Blast and your opponent gets the Battle Door effect, which may synergize well with Sword Shield, just because now it's even more awkwarder to guard.
More awkward.
More awkwarder. Because it was already more awkward, now it's more awkwarder. And then you got Spinodile, which 5k. Wee. Although it does get an additional bind. So there's that. My bizarre love of Cyber Dragons aside.
What do we give this set as a total score?
What do we give this set as a total score? Good question.
I'll give it
So-
an 80 just for introducing a new mechanic.
Here's the thing.
Here's the thing.
Messiahs are
Number
good.
1, number 2, number 3.
Shut the fuck up!
Fuck you, I like itemized lists. And
Fuck you, Sheldon.
number one,
Sheldon Lee Cooper. Sheldon sucks.
number one,
I hate Big Bang Theory.
number
Shut the
one,
fuck up.
Fuck you.
number one.
I
This
ran
set
out.
does introduce at least 2 more meta decks, 3 if you count Overlord.
Because fuck Bermuda Triangle and this fish shell we're in right now.
And possibly even 4 if you want to count Blademaster, but that's more iffy. It has options for budget builders, because you do have the R and below Cyber Dragon deck, you've got single RPGs, you've got full sets of triggers, so you could easily build a deck straight out of this box. And it also has a good variety of different playstyles. Like, sure, Overlord and Nova Grapplers are both like highly aggro, but like Harmonix is about playing the grind out game. It loses out a little bit on the like control aspects that Kagura should have, but it does put a few of those in Link Joker as well.
I mean, that pattern was also introduced in the last set with the grade anyways, since we lost a lot of retiring just because we have to play Neoflame.
Yeah, it's annoying. They really should keep Kagura acting like Kagura. So, I think this deserves a 90.
Alright, I'll level with you and
85.
say 85, just because I think the VR for Novus isn't something you really need.
I mean, the VRs for Nova isn't something you really need, but the triple R is.
Yeah,
So if
I mean-
anything, they just sort of swapped those so that they didn't have to be like, Beast Deities is the new super expensive deck to add insult to injury. But yeah, like, coming out of this, heroes will be playable, they'll also be pretty cheap. And Beast Deities will be tier 1, and you won't have to drop a lot for them out of the set. So if you were going that route, It's still not that
I
expensive.
just
for it.
hope that you all got your Azure Dragons on release day.
So this deck does contribute to the meta. It does provide budget options. It does have differing playstyles.
And it supports every deck indirectly because everyone gets the new gifts.
Yeah, in fairness, that's more of a rule thing than a...
I mean, are they really going to print new gifts, or are we just going to have to turn it sideways?
I mean, they have printed a ton of new gifts already.
Dang.
Uh,
I hope they print. I hope for like playset bundles they give us like, you know, I don't know.
They will give you the news.
Hey,
we'll probably do what they've already been doing. Anyway,
Yeah.
grade out of 100.
85.
85.
I actually mentioned it before Andre mentioned it.
Alright. So that was Heroic Evolution, everybody. Bye-bye.